Welcome to Coach Bennett's podcast, where every run has a purpose, where kindness is hardcore, where this is about running, and this is not about running, where every starting line is a finish line in disguise, where rambling still gets you where you need to be, where pineapple will never ruin your pizza, and the sodas, adult and not adult kind, are always cold, and where there is room on the starting line for everybody. I'm Coach Bennett. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day. Let's get started. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 129 of Coach Bennett's podcast. That's right, 129, which means there have been 128 episodes prior to this, and actually, that's not totally honest advertising because I believe there were like 2 special bonus episodes. So I think I've recorded maybe like 130, 131 of these bad boys, but this is, for all intents and purposes, going to be known now and forever as episode 129. The title is Maybe, or The Power of Maybe, or The Strength of Maybe, or Maybe's Awesome. I don't know. It's going to be about just the word maybe and what that word means and how powerful and awesome and epic that word is, and how if you can incorporate it into your training, into your running, into your life, ooh, baby, we got something awesome. I almost said, ooh, may baby, like maybe, may baby, but then I was like, that's not going to land, and then I told you that I was going to do it, and I did it. Oof, wow. Hopefully that's the low point in terms of the, hilarity of the episode. I hope there is some laughter. I hope there's some joy. I hope there's some learnings, and you find this interesting, because this is what I want to talk about today, and that's what you're going to get. And I'll tell you where it was inspired from. It was inspired from my run this morning, where I was getting ready, and it's like drizzly, not cold, but drizzly here at the Jersey Shore. I'm on the East Coast for a little bit, and I was like, oh, you know what? What am I going to do? How far am I going to run? I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, especially with my running, because once my streak broke, which again, it wasn't a streak for a streak, it was just I happened to string together a little over 7.5 years of running, and it ended in August, and I've just cratered. My running's been pretty terrible, so I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. So as I'm about to head out the door, and I'm looking at it drizzling, thinking, how far am I going to run? I thought 15 minutes? Okay, I can do that. And I thought 20? 25? And I thought maybe, as opposed to yes, definitely, absolutely, that's what I'm going to do. I thought maybe, and I'll tell you what, I was like, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with maybe 20 minutes or maybe 25 minutes. It doesn't mean it's going to be 20 or 25 minutes. It just means it might be. And I thought, you know what? That's a really powerful word. And on the run, I thought about it. And I thought, you know what? This could be a really cool episode. So we're going to talk about the word maybe, the meaning of maybe, and how to maybe bring it into your training, right? Or your life. Well, isn't life really training? Not really. I don't know. We're moving on. Okay. This is what maybe means. It means possibly. Potentially. I love both of those words. I got to tell you, I do. And I'll tell you something else. When I was coaching teams, I always had my goal as being getting an athlete or athletes, meaning the team, on a starting line where maybe we can accomplish the goal that we want to accomplish, the goal that we've been training towards, the goal that we've been running towards, the goal that we've been working towards. Maybe we can accomplish it. We have the possibility of accomplishing it. There is the potential for us to accomplish it on that starting line, which means we've done the work. Because you've heard me say before, there are no guarantees on the other side of a starting line. You can be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of the ways you want to classify this as being prepared, ready to take on a task. And guess what? It still may not work out. You may do everything you're supposed to do. The training that, you had structured 10 weeks before, 20 weeks before, 30 weeks before, it doesn't matter. You nailed it. Box checked after box checked after box checked. You've done it all. It still may not work out. There are no guarantees on the other side of a starting line, which is why only badasses truly cross starting lines on their way to take on great, epic, extraordinary challenges. So, the answer is always, well, can we do this? Well, if we've done the work, maybe, not definitely, but maybe, possibly, potentially. So I love that. And when people ask me, a question, here's what I've been doing, here's the training I've been doing, or if they've been somebody that I've worked with, and they say, do you think I can accomplish this? My answer is maybe. Like, do you have the potential to? Yes. Does that mean it's possible? Yes. So what is the answer? Maybe. I can't say I guarantee that you can accomplish it because I don't know what's going to happen on the other side of the starting line. I can tell you, based on what I know, yes or no, maybe or no. Those are the two answers I can give somebody. No, I don't think you can do this right now, or maybe. And to me, maybe is inclusive of yes and maybe no. I get asked a lot of times about, how you present certain things to athletes. And I always say, start with the truth, okay? But also, it's important to let them know what they need to know more than it is what they want to know. And in a perfect situation, and in great situations, what they want to know is what they need to know. But sometimes what they want to know is not what they need to know. And it's more important to tell an athlete on a starting line, guess what? There is the chance of this working out because we have done the work. We are prepared. But that means there's also the chance that this won't work out because, like I said, there are no guarantees. I like those odds, though. Maybe you can't means maybe you can. I love those odds. And that's what you want to focus on. That's why I love that word, maybe. And when I was about to head out on the run, and I thought, maybe I'll do 20 or 25 minutes, the other thing that it dawned on me is maybe is like judgment-free. It's not, well, are you going to do 20 or 25? Because if you don't do 20 or 25, you're not a real runner, or you're not a tough runner, or you're not a badass, or you're not hardcore, or you're not fulfilling your potential. It's none of that garbage. It's just, hey, what do you think you're going to do? Well, I mean, depending on how things go, and I don't know how things are going to go because they haven't gone yet. I haven't even started the run. Yeah, maybe 20 or 25. There's a judgment-free aspect to it. I'm not saying one thing is positive or negative. I'm not saying less than 20 is a negative. I'm not saying 25 minutes is a positive. What I'm saying is there's the possibility, there's a range, there's an openness to this. And whether or not I choose to run 15, 20, or 25 is going to be based on what happens out there. I mean, I have enough respect for myself to know that I can figure it out, that I feel like I can make the right decisions, and maybe I'm enjoying the run a little bit more than I initially thought I was going to, or I feel a little bit better. Maybe I bump into somebody on the boardwalk and I want to run a little bit further. Maybe I go further. Maybe I get out there and I realize, you know what, I'm not feeling it today. I'm a little bit tired. You know what, I forgot about a couple things that I have to do today. I need to get back. So you know what, I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter than I thought. Maybe I'll run 15 or 18 or 19 minutes. And you know what? Maybe that's the best thing I can do. Maybe that's the right choice. Maybe, possibly, potentially, which is what I love about it. That judgment-free aspect to it. The other thing is there's an assumption when you say maybe that you're going to try. There's an assumption that you're going to explore. There's an assumption that you're going to be curious about what this might be. I mean, if we just use my run as an example, when I say, what are you going to do? Well, maybe 20 or 25 minutes. I mean, if you really break it down, what I'm saying is, well, I'm going to go out there and I'll try and see how it goes. I'm going to explore the run. I'm going to explore how I feel. And I'm going to be curious about whether or not I should, want to, need to run 20 or 25 minutes. I like those assumptions. And I know people say, oh, never assume anything. Oh, stop it. There's a difference, I guess, between assumptions and being able to anticipate. And I guess maybe what I'm saying is more than assumption. I'm anticipating the fact that I will try. I will explore. I will be curious about how I'm going to do this run, about how I'm going to look at or decide upon how far I want to go. And I love that idea that maybe means I'm going to try. It doesn't mean that not being able to do it is a failure, and it doesn't mean being able to do it is some great success. It just means I'm going to try. I'm going to give it a try. I'm open to it. I will explore the possibility, the potential that this run is going to go beyond 15 minutes. That's really cool. Because when you explore, what you're really saying is, I'm going to open myself up to new possibilities, to new potentials. I like that too. And I like the idea of being curious. And that's something that Coach Bennett, the grader, Tammy, says quite a bit, which is the importance of curiosity in your training or in your passions, in your work. Like, what if I tried this? What if I did that? What if I didn't do that? And I like the curiosity of it. Like, I don't have to know exactly how far I'm going to run when I start a run every single time I go for a run. Sometimes I can say, we'll see. Maybe I'll go long. Maybe I'll go short. Maybe I'll pick up the pace. Maybe I'll keep it easy. Maybe I'll run on the trail at the end of this road, or maybe I'll stick to the roads. Maybe I'll run towards the track. Maybe I'll just stay in the neighborhood. Let's see. There's an excitement to it as well. When it's not locked in, when it's not so rigid, there's a flexibility that is inherent in the word maybe. Another reason why I love it. Another thing, and yes, I keep saying another because there's just more things. Another thing that I love about the word maybe is the idea of the surprise. That you're open to surprising yourself. Like, well, how far are you going to go? Well, maybe 20. Well, who knows now, right? I mean, it's kind of exciting. Like, are we going to run 20? Are we going to run 25 or 30? Are we going to run 15? I don't know. It's kind of exciting. That's one of my favorite parts about running. It's one of my favorite parts about starting lines. Because there are no guarantees on the other side of the line, it means you can't possibly know what's going to happen, which means you have to be open to surprising yourself, which is something that as we get older and older, we tend to surprise ourselves less and less, or at least give ourselves the opportunity to surprise ourselves more and more. Which is why, if you are trying new things, or if you are crossing starting lines for something that you love, could be a lifelong passion, and you are open to the possibility of maybes, the potentials of maybes, it means you're really opening yourself up to surprising yourself, which I think is one of the great joys of being an athlete, one of the great joys, I imagine, of being an artist. I mean, we all are artists and we all are athletes, so, that's something I believe we all share. I will say once again, we need to give ourselves, and especially each other, and by each other, I mean not just other adults, but definitely kids, the outlet for both athleticism and artistic creativity. Oh yeah. So if you're in some type of a school district and you're debating cuts and you're thinking of cutting the arts or athletics, that's a really bad idea. I'm just saying, kids need outlets. Kids need to be able to drive their passions towards something positive, and the arts and athletics are two great positive forces that can be used in their lives to drive them somewhere better. Just throwing that out there. And guess what? We're all kids at heart. So you should have athletics and the arts as a part of your life too. Just a little PSA, public service announcement for everyone out there. Keep being an artist, keep being an athlete. So back to that element of surprise. I think it's essential for growth. I think it's essential to live a life fully lived, to incorporate this idea that you can surprise yourself, that you should consistently be surprising yourself. And one of the ways you can do that is incorporate the word maybe into your existence. Maybe I can, maybe I can't, maybe I will, maybe I won't. It's not wishy-washy. I think sometimes we get in this habit, and I don't know if it's just because we get inundated with these messages, like, and full respect to Yoda. Full respect to Yoda. Do or do not, there is no try. Well, without the try, you neither do or don't. You have to start with the try. So I love you, Master Yoda. I think you're a total stud, but I will tell you this, you're wrong, dude. And don't listen, Star Wars nerds, don't get upset at me. Yoda's been wrong before. Yes, he has. Where do you think Darth Vader came from? Slipped right under Yoda's little nose. And now that I'm thinking of Yoda, does Yoda even have a nose? I can't remember. The point here is, do or do not, there is no try. No, there is always a try. And then we will know whether you did or you didn't. But it starts with a try. So, don't know where that came from. I went totally rogue on that ramble. Not even sure what point I was trying to make. But it's actually a pretty valid one. And I'm actually pretty pumped about it. And if I inflame a few, Yoda fans, bring it. Okay? Bring it. The other thing is that I love about maybe, which seems counterintuitive here, it's honest. It's honest. Athletes tend to want black and white answers. They want yes and no answers when they ask, especially from me, questions about their training, their running, their potential. Do you think I can do this? And they want yes or no. But the answer is almost never yes or no. I mean, there are some outlandish things. I mean, if I asked myself, hey, coach, can you break 4 minutes in the mile right now or in the future? The answer is no, I can't. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I train, no matter how smart I train, I cannot, will not break 4 minutes in the mile. I won't do it. I'm incapable of doing that. That's not me being cruel to myself. That's just reality. I can't do it. And listen, there are some crazy things I bet I could do. That's one thing that's just beyond my abilities, regardless of how much I want it or how hard I try. Can't do it, all right? But when you get to, a group of potential goals, potential or possible challenges for me to take on that make sense, and someone says, do you think you can do it? Well, do I have the potential to do it? Yes. Is it possible I could do it? Yes. Will I do it? Maybe. That's all I can say. When you get to the definitives, I can't tell you yes or no. I can tell you there's the potential to do it. There's the possibility we can do it. And like I mentioned at the very beginning of this podcast, if you do everything you are supposed to do, meant to do, can do in service of achieving this challenge or this goal, okay, you still might not do it. So I think there's something incredibly honest to saying, maybe, like regardless of how hard you work, regardless of how hard you try, regardless of how smart you train, maybe and maybe not. And that's not a negative. It opens up the space, the possibility and the potential for you to maybe achieve it. And that's got to be enough. If you're looking for your training to guarantee an outcome, you're never going to get there unless your outcome is not that extraordinary. But if you're trying to achieve something great, a reach, well, when you're training for it, it's out of reach. And then on the other side of the starting line, even if it's in reach, it may end up beyond your grasp for something beyond the limited measurement of reach. Like, yes, is it within reach? Absolutely. But the wind blew it away. So it was within reach, but then the wind blew it away. I just think maybe, even though it's not giving you a specific yes or no answer, is oftentimes the only honest answer when asked that question, can I? Well, maybe. And that, to me, from a coaching perspective, is good enough. That's good enough to get an athlete on the line confident in the possibility, confident in the potential, that the outcome may actually be achieved. The other thing is, there's an ownership to it when you say, maybe. Like, now it's up to you. You get to decide. You are, in fact, your own head coach when you're out there. When I left today on the run saying, maybe I'll run 20 or 25, what I was really saying was at some point, I will decide what I'm going to do. Not the training plan, not somebody else, not the weather. I will decide based on any number of factors that could be inclusive of the ones I already mentioned, but I will decide. I might run 15, I may run 20, maybe I run 25, but whatever distance, duration I choose to run will be in fact up to me, decided by me. I will own that decision. I think it's also a great reminder of who's in charge of your running. You are. You're the one that gets to think up the excuses to not run. You're the one that needs to come up with excuses to run. You're the one that has to find the motivation to cross the starting line. You're the one that needs to be inspired to keep coming back to starting lines. You're the one that's going to have to find the challenges and the goals that you want to work towards. You're going to have to supply the power, the strength, and the drive to go after those goals to get the work done. You are in charge. A lot of times when we head on a run, we give ownership to, I don't even know who we're giving ownership over to. But I'll tell you what, it's not to ourselves too often. We are the owners. Don't sign the deed over to someone else or some other entity when you get out there on the run. You're in charge. So when you're saying, maybe I'll do this, what you're actually saying is at some point, I am going to decide what that answer is going to be. Own it. It's your decision. And I think if you can bring this kind of a mentality, this maybe mentality, into your training is going to improve. I think incorporating maybe will lead to more consistency with your training. I think maybe is going to make you listen to yourself more, have better conversations with yourself out there on the run. I think maybe also is going to bring a diversity into your training. Maybe I do this run. Maybe I do a different run. Maybe I run here. Maybe I run there. I think that word maybe is also going to have you realize this activity, this sport, it's your activity. It's your sport. It's your running. You are the runner. You are the owner. Those are the types of things that will only benefit your training. Those judgment-free decisions based on what do you want to do today? What do you need to do today? And when you're out there on the run with the possibility and the potential of the distance, the duration, the minutes, the meters, the miles, the effort, the pace, the location, all of these things that you can adjust or decide upon out there on the run, I think what it will allow you to do is learn more about yourself, take more ownership in your running, open yourself up to surprising yourself, being honest with yourself because of having better conversations with yourself, and maybe loving this sport even more than you already do. Oh, you see what I did there? I brought the maybe in at the end. That's the name of the episode. That's what I did. So what I want you to do is bring maybe into your running. Bring maybe into your life. That's your homework. Yes, you have homework. Just bring maybe in, okay? And yes, maybe you do it, maybe you don't, but I think you're going to do it. So, there it is. There's episode 129. Snappy, quick, fun, maybe the best one ever. Maybe not. I don't know. Again, you get to decide, right? That was the whole purpose of this entire episode. But that was episode 129. So I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the episode. By the way, let's share the episode, all right? Let's see how many people can share this episode on Instagram and Threads and tag me, and then I will celebrate you and thank you for tagging me. Let's see how many times we can do this, all right? That's your second piece of homework, all right? And until episode 130, which will be next week, you take care of yourself, you take care of each other, and I'll meet you on the next starting line. Thank you so much for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast today. And if you haven't already subscribed or set yourself as a follower to the podcast, I really hope you would. And make sure you check out the show notes, because in those show notes, you're going to find a link to Coach Bennett's newsletter and all the social media sites I'm on, like Instagram and Threads and Cameo and Blue Sky and nope, not on that one anymore. So all the ones I am on, you're going to find it in the show notes, so check that out as well. And as always, thank you again for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast. Until next time, you keep taking care of yourself and each other.